Hello, welcome. Today we have two microphones we're going to put head to head and see which one comes out on top. One's a bit more budget, one's a bit more mid-range, and they're both by Fifine. And we do have a middle ground right here, which is Fifine mic, and we're going to be testing two others, but this is XLR and USB-C. These two are just XLR. We're going to unbox them first. We're going to take a look at them aesthetically, see what we think, and then we're going to do a bit of an audio test, see which one we like the sound of most. We'll do a bit of a blind test as well. And then after I've came back and edited the whole thing, I'll come back and do my conclusion after I've actually listened and played with the files. So without further ado, Fifine. Mic 1, K669D, XLR only. Unbox it a second. Second is the Tank 1 XLR recording microphone. Two mics, unbox, and out the box. This is the Tank 1, this is the K669D. Just from my initial impressions, obviously this one being a little bit smaller, but this is the cheaper of the two. Also, comes with a pretty sturdy stand. We might be utilizing that in a moment. Let's show you this one first. But still, even though it is smaller, still has a fantastic weight behind it. No controls, no physical buttons on this one. Again, a little bit smaller, but all metal, great looking. So let's add it to our mic stand. Something along the lines of, if you can't see down there. In this setup, that would go perfect right near my mouth, pretty discreet, especially with a dark shirt on like I'm looking at right now. So there's our option one. If you saw this down here, this is a adapter that would go on the end of here. Don't need that today, but it's included. Looking at this one, so definitely heavier, definitely bigger. There's our Fifine logo right there. This one, XLR again, no USB-C either. On this one, we have two physical controls, low cut, and we'll see what the other one does. I'll look at the instructions, and obviously you get this arm, which is pretty common on these types of mics. And again, all metal construction, very nicely built. And we actually have Fifine desk stand right here. That's how that one looks on the desk stand. Very stylish, very good looking. So the only difference between the two here is obviously one's a little bit lower down than the other. For a mic test, it really shouldn't make too much of a difference if I have one here, one there. I have an XLR mic, XLR cable, and we're going to plug them in. And here's what we'll do. We'll get the smaller one on first. We'll, I don't know, say something poetic, I guess. See how that sounds. Put this one on, and you know what? I'm even going to put some headphones on just so I can monitor it as I'm recording it. That way I can dial it in a little bit if it needs to be tweaked, just so I can give it a fair test. And then we'll test this one again. Poetry will come out my mouth, some words of wisdom, I'm sure, to test these things out. And then of course we'll take a break. I will put them into the editing software. I will listen to them back. We'll play around with it a little bit. I will turn on, I'll keep them raw. And then another one I will put on the software, a little button I can click on DaVinci Resolve, and it'll isolate my voice. It will get rid of the background noise, but then we'll see, do they then sound identical if you're adding a little bit of voice isolation, or is there going to still be a big difference at that point? And the price difference isn't huge between these two, but it's still worth checking. And again, you've been listening to me on this one the whole time. Expect the winner of this contest to possibly take the place of this one, though I really like this one. I've had this one in the last couple of videos since Fifine got this one over to me. We may have a new winner, but this kind of falls in the same price range as these two as well, or at least in the realm. This came with an arm and is USB-C as well, so there's a little bit more value that you can get with this one, and the styling on this one I like as well. But there's something about the metal construction of these two that is fantastic and looks great. So let's plug one of them in. Okay, so we have the K669D plugged in, so the smaller of the two. And if you're wanting to know what I'm using as my interface, and it's the Zoom P4, the PodTrack P4, and you can see it right here. So I've got it into my second channel. I've got my second channel muted. I've also got my first channel, which is still my original mic here. And as I'm listening back to it right now in my headphones, yeah, sounding great. I'm going to try not to bang too much on the desk because obviously that'll come into play. But obviously I've got mic arms. I do like sometimes putting on a desk stand like this one, or the one it came with, in fact. And obviously a nice, simple mobile solution. But for the most part, I'm going to have it on a mic arm just because I do like to operate in this area with unboxings and stuff. So, didn't I promise some poetry or something wise? Every day is a learning day. I use that one every day, so I may as well utilize it now. So, let me know what your thoughts are on this one. Again, I'm not going to know the full breadth and depth of the mic until I get it into my software and listen back to it that way and have some raw audio, which I'll put up here when it's raw, when it's being voice isolation turned on, just so you can see the difference between the bunch. But this is this mic, so I think it sounds great. Maybe it's coming in a little bit quiet, but that just may be the settings on my deal here. So we'll have a play around with it. But let's move on to mic number 2, the Tank 1. Isn't that a heck of a name, right? And I'm going to try and keep these two at the same distance around me. That way one's not closer, one's not further away. I know placement is important when it comes to mic, as a side note. A lot of times if I have, say, this mic, it's always, let's put it right in front of the noise pipe and get the best talking from it. But what you find is you get a lot of mouth noises, a lot of breathing noises, a lot of things that I like to try and cut out on my videos because I hear myself like just having a conversation like this, but it sounds like I'm breathing out my nose. It's really weird. So mic placement is important. So I always like to have this mic or whatever mic ends up being here coming into my sound funnel, let's call it, and pick up the noise from there instead of directly at my mouth where you can hear me, taking a swallow and whatnot. So there we go. This is mic numero 1. And we're going to take out the XLR, put it in this one. We'll try and keep these two. And I'll just knock this one. I'll try and keep this one at a nice level. So time out. Now we do have some settings on the back. And as I move them around here, I don't know what I'm changing because clearly I can't see it. But let's look at the instructions. It tells us one of them is a mid boost and the other is low cut. I always like low cut on because that's where you're getting rid of some of the background noise, air conditioning, especially here I have a unit right there. It's like a ooh, and it should cut it out automatically. Mid boost. When switching to, the microphone will be more responsive to mid-range frequencies, which allows vocals to be highlighted by default. So let's give this a little spin around. So with that said, this, if you hear any difference, let me know. I didn't hear anything in my headphones. This is with mid boost selected as on and low cut on. And it says switching to low cut, the microphone will automatically cut off the ambient noise at low frequency ranges to get clearer audio. So I always like that because weirdly enough, microphones are sensitive and your empty room has an ambient noise to it. It's just odd. I'm sure people record these things and listen for voices from beyond the grave. I don't know, but ambient noise is a thing, and if you can cut it out, then it means that your software doesn't have to, and you're going to get cleaner audio. So so far just from listening in here, again, I'll put in right here whether the noise cancellation's on, whether it's off, whether it's the raw audio coming directly into the Zoom thing here. So far, this one's sounding fantastic to me. This one's sounding a lot more on the lines of this one or closer to my Rode mic. And the stylings of my Rode podcast mic, undeniable here that they're pretty similar. And though this one is more expensive and this one does have USB-C, but you can get the one that doesn't have USB-C. But stylings very similar. And again, I love the metal construction. So really that's left at this point. I didn't give you any words of wisdom, and I guess for this one it would be you reap what you sow, if we want to go philosophical. And all that's left at this point is I'm going to now take the footage, take the audio, sync everything up, play around with it in post, and I don't do too much playing around with it. Literally, it's a button, and I'll show you right here. It's a button, voice isolation. That's typically all I ever do with my audio. Maybe it's the volume's up or down a little bit depending on some scenarios, but that's typically it. So far everything's been coming out of this mic. And then let's actually go back to this one. So there's 3 Fifine mics for your benefit. The unboxing experience and the whole video is about these 2 right here, but at least now it gives you a solid comparison to how this one sounds all by itself and all isolated. So obviously when you're doing a podcast and you have multiple mics, ideally you want to get all the same brand, and at the price for these ones, you might want to certainly consider it. This one comes with an arm. This one has USB-C. These 2 don't, but these 2 really like the design and the construction, but really reasonable price. And this one is similar to this and to the Rode mic. But yeah, let's cut, let's go play around, and let's have a conclusion. Might be a different day, might be wearing something different. My beard might be a different length, but you will see me again talking about these mics and what my thoughts were. So see you in a second.
A few moments later.
All right, welcome back. So at this point, we're going to go and deep dive into my software and listen live as we see what these mics sound like, so I can give you my first impressions. The reason I've delayed this a little bit is because I have taken this mic and I used it on a different video and really liked how it sounded, really liked how it came out when I edited that one. Haven't done the same thing with this one yet, but I will. But we are going to throw up some software here and see how it sounds live. Hello, welcome. Today we have 2 microphones. Okay, so there's my intro on this mic right here, which has been my primary mic for quite some time. And that's the USB-C and the XLR mic. So that's our audio for our test audio, our bass audio. And obviously you'll have heard my voice the whole time on that one. Every day is a learning day. So I've just been listening back to the audio, and honestly, I actually found it pretty difficult to tell which one was which. The only way I know is because when I'm handling the mics, I can hear the deep rumble of it. But the actual pitch I expected, I was going to find a big difference between this and the other. One was a little bit quieter than the other in post, but obviously you can tweak that a little bit. But in reality, I really didn't hear too much of a difference, which obviously is always a good sign. Here's what I've kind of put these 2 down to, and kind of the different use cases, at least for me. This one, I think, is going to go here. So this is going to be my primary mic. I like the way it looks. I like the styling of it. I like the way it sounds. And I think it is going to be my go-to mic for this setup. Now, where this one will come into play, I believe, and actually what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to switch it over to this one, just so as I'm talking about this one, I can hear the difference for when I'm editing. So this one, I can now hear a little bit of a difference in the headphones. I want to tweak it a little bit as I'm talking, but now I know for sure that this file is this one, because it was so hard to tell when I was just listening back to it. But this little one, I feel for me, the price, the size, and the sound all qualify it, for me at least, to be a mobile podcast mic setup. So maybe acquire a couple more, 4 in total. I've already got the 1. So another 3, that's, less than $100 for the 3 at that point. The size means portability, fantastic for a mobile travel. And then the sound, again, I'm really enjoying the way it sounds at this point as I'm listening to it, as I listened to it back on the computer. So I think that's where this one comes into play, or as a backup, or as a second mic in a setup. And I think just tweaking the gain a little bit between the 2, and you're going to get them to match really quite nicely. So I don't see any huge differences between the sound of the 2, that you couldn't use them both together if needed. But just if you're going to go for the same aesthetic, get a couple more, and there's your mobile setup. And you can stick it on any, stand, as this one is. Let's even do a little bit of holding. So you can put it on any stand like it is. You can put it on an arm. The little receiver in the bottom, the thread, will receive both sizes of mic stand thread, or the most common ones at least that I've seen. Powerful and mighty, and great looking as well, just a little bit smaller, therefore a little bit more portable, which I think serves a great purpose. Or if you're looking for a great quality but on a budget, that's what this falls into. You're just getting started. You want something, say, for a gamer setup, or just from clear audio for your Zoom calls or your work meetings. All of the above, check, 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 if you don't want to go too deep into the the realm of mics, because they can get pretty pricey pretty quick. XLR cable, interface, and away you go. So this one definitely gets my seal of approval in terms of sound quality and style. And there you go. So we'll keep it at that. Fifine always do a fantastic job. Obviously, I've got quite a few different mics of theirs, and I've always been impressed with all of them. The mic stands, I've got a mic arm, I've got a couple of mic arms of theirs, plus the one that came with this one, plus this one that is nice and steady, sturdy. So far, Fifine quality products have just been very good and great quality price, which hard to find these days. Normally, if you go on the cheaper end, you're going to have to upgrade later on. I just don't see any need to upgrade for any of these. If you're purchasing them, they're a good investment and you're saving some money. So there you go. There's my review of the Fifine Tank 1 and the Fifine K669D. Don't remember that name. Links will be in the description, of course. Like, comment, subscribe, all of the above. Appreciate it. Dad Tech here with some mic stuff. Have a great day. Bye.